Okay.
So our first question is,
For the
why
third
did
time.
Mrs. Dubose want Jem to have a flower after she died?
As a sign of friendship and forgiveness, to show appreciation and thankfulness for reading to her and help her fight against her morphine addiction. On page 111, she says, Atticus says, she said she meant to break herself of it before she died, and that's what she did. On the same page, Atticus says she had Jesse, who was her carekeeper or whatever, fix you this box. The box contained the snow on the mountain camellia flowers he had murdered on her lawn a month ago, I think. And giving that to him symbolizes the forgiveness part.
Okay, so my answer is Mrs. Dubose wanted Jem to have a flower after she died because she wanted to let him know that she forgave him after reading to her and helping her break her addiction. And the quote I used is, I think that was her way of telling you, everything's all right now, Jem. Everything's all right. Page 112 to 112.
Okay. I think it was because she wanted their relationship to come full circle. Because on 102 and 103, that's when he first destroys the flowers. And so I think that it may also mean she doesn't want Jem to feel bad or regret ruining the flowers. Because if he hadn't, she may not have weaned off her morphine addiction.
Our next question is, why did Dill seem to lie about his life back home?
Okay, so for me, I said, Dill wants to be accepted by children his own age. He's pretty small in appearance, so he has to make up for it by talking big. And what I mean by that is not his physical appearance, but like
Boost his ego. Boost his ego.
Yeah, boost his ego pretty much because he has like an abnormal life. Like on page, what page was it? I forgot to write the page number, but on that quote it says, I asked Dill where his father was. You ain't said anything about him. I haven't got one. Is he dead? No. His abnormal lifestyle makes it hard for him to have friends. So he tries to have a personality that people would admire.
I put, he wants to fit in with his new friends because he feels embarrassed about his family life, which is why he wants to fit in with other families, which is why he boosts his ego to make it seem like he has a great family. And a quote to support that is, didn't you all build that boat like you wrote you were gonna? And then Dill says, he just said we would. We never did. And then he says, that wasn't it. They weren't interested in me. When they were home, they'd get off in a room by themselves. On page 142 to 143.
Forgot my quotes first. Okay. Well, my answer is pretty much the same. I said he lies because living a lie is sometimes better than reality. And it's easier for him to admit that his life in Meridian is a lot better than it really is. And he may also feel that in order to connect with Jem and Scout, he has to have a good family life because Jem and Scout do have a cohesive home.
Our third question is, do you think people are naturally born with hate or learn it?
Okay, this is really like if you try to have A and B, I don't know how to pick it up.
Okay. People are never born with hate. They come to learn it as they are raised in their environment. Consistent exposure to hate can leave a mark in someone's life and prompt him or her to act the same towards others. Eventually, they are so blinded by their hate that they do not even know the reason behind it. It's just a feeling invoked because of how they were raised. And this is reflected in the story because of racism. Like, they hate African Americans, but they don't exactly know why. They just think of them as lowly people.
Okay, I put, people learn hate because children usually see everybody as equals unless they've been taught differently. Like, it showed that Francis is racist because his parents are racist, but Scout and Jem aren't racist because Atticus treats everyone equally, so that's why they took that trait. And I have quotes. Quote, Atticus, what exactly is a nigger lover? On page 108. And then Francis mocking Scout He's nothing but a nigger lover. Page 83. And it shows that Francis is more racist because his parents act like that, and Scout and Jem are not because they don't know, or they haven't yet learned why people hate Africans.
I also agree that people learn hate because love is expressed towards children when there are supportive people in their life, and the same applies to hatred. So children learn love and hate through their experiences and what they're exposed to. For example, Atticus teaches them to love everyone, which is why they respect people of all colors. And I think the same also applies to hatred.
Our fourth question is, can we assume Judge Taylor wants racism to end based on his actions toward Atticus and against Mr. Gilmer? How?
Okay, I'll answer this first because I want to. Yes, he had specifically chosen Atticus to be a defendant attorney for Tom Robinson because he knew no one else would have, or they would not have taken it seriously. Even in a case that was already lost from the beginning, Judge Taylor wanted to show something to the town of Macomb. On page 215, Mrs. Mowdy said, Judge Taylor naming Atticus to defend that boy was no accident. That Judge Taylor might have had reasons for naming him.
I put, yes, he appointed Atticus to this case because he knew Atticus wasn't racist and that he would do the most he could to defend Tom Robinson because he knows he treats everyone as equals because that's how he was raised. And I have a quote on page 163. One of the people in the court says, the court appointed Atticus to defend him, and Atticus aimed to defend him, which shows that even though Atticus was kind of forced, I guess, to defend him, he actually wanted to win the case.
Okay. Yes, on 215, I think this is the same quote as Harry's. Miss Waddy asks, did it ever strike you that Judge Taylor naming Atticus to defend that boy was no accident? That Judge Taylor might have had his reasons for naming him? So basically, Judge Taylor knew that Atticus wouldn't be afraid, and he would put in all he could to defend Tom. Because other lawyers would have defended him just because they were required to, and they wouldn't have sincerely. Huh?
They wouldn't have put their
Yeah,
best
they
to
wouldn't
it.
have done it sincerely. And unlike other lawyers, Atticus's logic would have been able to force the community to consider how unjust the case was.
Our last question is, do you think it was appropriate for Miss Gates to address Hitler in the manner she did? Why does she view Hitler's prejudice different from Macomb County's prejudice?
I think it was appropriate for the reader to show the blindness and hypocrisy that people show without even realizing it.
Go.
She views Hitler's prejudice different from Macomb because Hitler oppresses people. Macomb only shows their dislikes and keeps the attention high among the people they deem unfit for their society. They tend to rumor, gossip, ignore, and treat the people they look down upon badly. But Miss Gates views this differently from the oppression Hitler shows them. Either way, the end result is the same, with the lower group taking on the humiliation and having to always be careful about how they live their lives every day.
So I put, no, I don't think it was appropriate because it shows that she's racist towards black people. However, since like a lot of Jewish people are white, I think that's why she hates Hitler so much, because he's targeting white people and she hates black people. And I put a quote, Scout saying she hates Hitler a lot, and then telling Jem, well, coming out of the courthouse that night, Miss Gates was walking with Miss Stephanie Crawford. I heard her say it's time somebody taught him a lesson. They were getting way above themselves, and the next thing they think they can do is marry us, which I found on page 246 and 247.
Okay. Well, I disagree. I think she was right to expose the children to Hitler's actions because I think it's valuable for the children to realize that there is a world outside of Macomb County. And I think the reason why she views Hitler's prejudice different from Makeham's prejudice because she is maybe in denial and she doesn't want to recognize that her community is flawed. Is that okay? I think that's all.
I think I agree with both of your answers, and so we're going to start a discussion. I don't know if we're supposed to do that, but yes, you guys are very right. Okay, that's our discussion.
I thought our discussion was supposed to be after every question.
Oh, okay, well, we will discuss all our answers now because we didn't do that before.
Okay.
I think you guys on number 1 were really good because we all had very similar answers, so...
I like people agreeing with me, so...
Okay.
Yeah.
Quite a discussion.
I mean, because that's what...
We just compared answers, you know.
Well... Okay. Well...
I'll just
I
cut out the part where we...
Okay, but what was number 1?
Well...
Why did Mrs. DeVos?
Well, I think
Okay,
that...
so...
I think that I feel like there's not much to discuss because even the children didn't realize that they started spending more time with her. So I think that she really did appreciate that because I think she knows that people in the town gossip about her.
Yeah, I feel like...
No, I don't think they gossiped about her. She just badmouthed everybody, and she had like the traditions of like the Southerners from the Civil War. They're racist. They segregated people and treated other people badly. And then when she insulted Jem's father, that like started everything.
Yeah, that like...
And that brought...
People do gossip about her because they always say she's hiding guns in her. She always has guns around.
I agree with what Karen said about how she appreciates that they stayed longer because they could have been like, it's been 2 hours, we're leaving now. But they stayed even though... But maybe then they haven't realized that they were staying longer.
She doesn't agree with me.
But when she told them to stay for 1 more week, they did. And I think she appreciated that because she knows they could have been like, our month is up.
Atticus said to.
Atticus told them, but they did it, so they could have refused, I guess. Okay.
So wait, what does it represent though?
I think
it represents...
She represented the old traditions of the South, and she managed to change. So maybe a younger generation can change the future.
I don't think I feel like she didn't change. I think she was still racist at the end.
No, she represents racism and stuff. She was racist until the end.
But okay, I see what you're saying.
She was a morphine addict, and she changed, and she stopped at the end.
Yeah, I think she didn't change her racist ways. She just wanted to tell Jem thank you for helping me fight this and die clean like how I wanted.
Yeah, but that ended up showing that younger generations can change.
Can make an impact.
Can make an impact.
Exactly. Which is what we're doing in our final.
Yes.
Yeah.
See that connection there? Great. And our discussion for the next question: why did Dill seem to lie about his life back home?
Okay, so no, wait, you can start. I don't know.
We all had similar answers that he wanted to seem bigger than he was because he was pretty scrawny and he didn't really have a really great life. And so, yeah, I think it's pretty much the same thing because whenever they asked him about his family, it was always kind of negative. It was only like in the letter he wrote that it was positive, but they ended up not doing that. And
he tried to like hide a lot of things. And he ran away from home.
Yeah,
so
I think that's
that kind of showed how bad his family life was.
Yeah, but he didn't want people to really know because then they would start avoiding him. So he kept.
Yeah, so he burst his ego. Yeah. So our next question: do you think people are naturally born with hate or learn it? So.
Well, I was born hating, the dark.
So he hates the dark when he was little.
Yeah.
Everyone did though, so.
Yeah. So that's something you're born with, but it's not hate.
It's fear.
And fear. I think the whites most of the whites do fear the black. Well, not
they don't fear
them, but
they just know that like what power they can have, like what they can do, which is why I think they hold them so lowly. Yeah,
which is why. Well, I think they know that if they do get power, then the whites will lose their power, which is why they want to keep them out of
lowly.
power.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's why they
but-
oppress them.
Yeah, but then that takes an impact on the younger generations, and like they don't get like that. They don't want the African Americans to prosper. They just get out the hate from it, from their parents, and they learn it and
Yeah.
pass it on,
Yeah.
and so on.
It's the cycle.
Yeah.
Which you
Okay.
can break.
Yeah. So our next question: can we assume Judge Taylor wants racism to end based on his actions toward Atticus and Mr. Gilmer?
Obvious. Yes, he
Yes.
chose him.
I
he
think-
he chose Atticus because he knew what would happen.
Atticus.
However, he chose some other
Mr.
Atticus was
lawyer. He knew it wouldn't have been completely sincere.
Yeah,
So
and Atticus, like, he would, like, in common sense, he would have been put on the prosecuting attorney anyways. If that was, like, the ideal job for him for this case, but they put him on the defending attorney.
But why would they put him on the prosecuting?
There's a reason behind it, I forgot. It was like, he was more likely to get that job, but,
Okay.
yeah.
Well, I mean, I think that also Atticus would have made it subtle because the way Judge Taylor acted towards Gilmer, he was supporting
aggressive.
Atticus.
Yeah, he was very aggressive.
Yeah, he was passive aggressive pretty much, and he was
No, he
support-
yelled. Wait, like, that one guy that stood up.
yeah.
Yeah.
But he didn't
But-
really like. He'd be like
But
if
he
someone
wouldn't- that's
was making
normal him.
if someone was making a really good point towards Tom Robinson like
His-
not being guilty, he would be.
Yeah.
And someone was like, "Hey, he's not supposed to talk." He was like, "No, just let them talk.
Yeah.
I want to
So-
hear this."
I think it's pretty obvious that he did have a purpose.
Okay, so for our last question, do you think it was appropriate for Miss Gates to address Hitler in the manner she did? Why does she view Hitler's prejudice different from Macomb County's prejudice? So we'll answer the first part of the question first.
We
So,
already
or
answered.
let's discuss it. So, I
I
think
think-
it was appropriate on terms like if, like in the story. If we're talking about in terms of in the story, no, it wasn't. It was appropriate for the kids to know about the Jewish people, I guess, educationally. Okay, but outside of that, if you were thinking about was it appropriate as in the author putting that in the book, yes, because one of the
Yeah.
main theories in To Kill a Mockingbird is hypocrisy. It's like, people, in this case, people, like, they hate the African Americans, but they feel pity for the Jews.
Because most Jews are white. At that time in Germany,
Was that the
It
case?
was-
What are you talking about?
I
because
thought-
you know how when Hitler was killing
Yeah.
people, it was in Germany, and in Germany a lot of people are white there.
Yeah,
But the whites were.
yeah,
Wait.
I don't think it was because they're white, because, what about the Russian Jews? America didn't like them until they joined.
Okay.
I feel like it's just because
They're pale. Because they're pale.
because they're pale skinned.
Okay.
That's why.
white passing.
So I put that it wasn't appropriate because I was saying that it like shows it's appropriate in the sense of like teaching a lesson, and like getting the point across in the story that she's racist towards one group and not towards another. So that's why I put it wasn't appropriate, because it shows that she's racist towards some people but not towards other people. And I thought it was just like, is it appropriate for her to hate one person but like to hate Hitler but then also hate blacks? Like they're both prejudiced things. So that's why I put it wasn't appropriate.
I think.
What? Keep going.
Well, I mean, I do think that it was appropriate in both sense, because I do think the children need to be exposed to that, and I think it got the point across that the hypocrisy theme.
But the kids in the classroom were racist too, some of them, most
Yeah.
of them. So I don't think they viewed it as hypocrisy. Just like if they're
No.
taught something, they view it like that.
Yeah, like once they're taught that Hitler's bad, they're all gonna be like, oh, Hitler's bad. Like all of us think Hitler's bad, but I don't know, some weird person that hates Jews could be like, oh, Hitler's a hero, because they were taught that.
No one. I'm pretty sure.
If they were taught that, they probably would.
Well,
Yeah,
there
that's
are,
an extreme way of putting it, but
there
sure.
are still Nazis out there.
Yeah, but
Yeah,
they're
so they like
They're
Hitler.
children. I mean, the KKK is still out there.
And
The
they happen
KKK
to be
is
neo-Nazis.
happening. They're
Well,
still
they-
current.
Yeah, but they allowed Mexicans and other races into their group now.
But it's still
Recently, and now they
it's
just
still
want-
supremacy.
Yeah. Okay.
So I think that it does pass. Yeah, it does. Yes.
Okay. That concludes our presentation, right?
Yeah,
Or
or Socratic Seminar.
Yeah.
That thing, yeah.
Yes, Harry words. Okay.
Uh,
Um.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks for totally assigning this.
Cut that out. She's gonna